Hello there boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of the Capo Plays. Now today we have a very shiny treat for you. As I'm sure you know, Horizon Zero Dawn was released this month and it's been peppered with great reviews. I picked up the game yesterday and decided to play a chunk and then stop and make a video explaining my feelings. Don't worry though, I'm not going to spoil any story here, at least not after the first couple of hours. Honestly, I'm only about 10 hours into the game now, but I've already got quite a lot to say and can't wait to dive in and play more. Anyway, enough of that bullshit, let's get on with the video. Okay, so I'm going to get this out of the way early. How fucking pretty is this game? Honestly, the graphics astounded me. I understand this is a cutscene, but honestly, when you go into gameplay, there's not that much difference. It is astonishingly pretty. So we'll talk a little bit more about the graphics later. First we're going to mention the start of the story. Essentially it starts off with a protagonist who is absolutely adorable. I mean, look at her. Her name is Aloy and she wants nothing more than to play with the other children and be accepted. But sadly, now you're going to hear this word a lot, she is an outcast. This means no one in the tribe wants to talk to her, she should be shunned. Fuck off, you ugly little ginger bitch. After being told to do just that, Aloy gets in a bit of a paddy, runs away and falls into a big ass cave. Once you're down there, you get to take control of Aloy for the very first time. Now this is where you learn the very basic movements like movement, jumping and camera controls. When I was playing here, everything felt a little bit heavy, maybe a touch clunky. I don't know if it's just because it's a very closed space, I'm not sure. Once I got out, I didn't notice it was too big a deal.
Looks tight, but I can get through.
That's what she said. After mincing around for a bit more, you come across a dead body, and as any infantile girl would, she went poking around in it. This is where you discover your focus. Now, you don't know what it does, but again, quite naturally for a young girl, you pull it off a dead body and stick it on the side of your head. Then, when it tries to suck itself to your face, you piss your knickers and stare at it for a little while before deciding, what's the worst that could happen? This is where we discover our first ability, the focus ability. Now, this is where the problems started for me. I say problems, there's not a lot of problems, there's maybe this one. The focus is cool, it's useful, obviously you can use it to detect enemies and items and stuff like that, which is what you'd expect a focus to do. The only problem is a lot of other things can be detected as well, like in this room there's a bunch of computers and stuff which don't do anything, just there to kind of fucking put you off. We'll talk a little bit more about why I don't like the focus so much later on. So the rest of this segment gives you the opportunity to get a bit of exposition. There's a lot of things you can pick up on with your focus to give you audio files and bits and bobs to read. It's worth taking the time to go through and listen to all these and find everything you can because there's a big info dump in this cave and there's really not a lot for the next 10 hours of gameplay. One of the things that made me fall in love with this character happens right here. She finds a dead body who has something attached to his head where you're able to watch a hologram. It's a hologram of a dad sending his son a birthday message, and it's so adorable for a girl who's had no family to watch this, and you can see her heart breaking. It really is sweet. Just take a look.
We can still have a party, right? Sure we can.
Show me. Show me again.
Tekken 2 is right behind you. Hi! Happy birthday, Isaac. Daddy sure does love his little big man. Look, Daddy can't be there with you and Mom, but we can still have a party, right? Sure we can.
Happy birthday, Isaac. Daddy sure does love his little big man.
I mean, come on, I'm only 10 minutes into this game and I'm ready to start pissing from my eyes. So we get out the cave and meet back up with our mentor slash adopted father and decide to go home. Oh, look at that little walking animation, she's just fucking adorable. Shortly after that we encounter our first enemy. It's one of the Watchers. It's kind of like a sentry bot. If they spot you, they let everyone else in the area know you're there to come and fuck you up. At this point we don't have a weapon, so Ross teaches us the art of stealth. The easiest way to be stealthy in this game is to hide in the tall grass. Again, shortly after that, Ross gives us a bow and shows us how to take down an enemy in case things get loud. We end up using our focus to find out the enemy's weak points. Now this is another part that's quite cool but also a bit fiddly. If you're looking at the enemy as a whole, it'll tell you that it's got a weak point, but not necessarily where. You actually have to put the reticle on the weak point for the game to actually tell you what it's weak to. Now, this might be easy when the animal's standing still, but if they're walking around, it can be a real fuck on. Next, we come up to another cutscene, followed by another set piece. Now, I have 3 problems with this cutscene. 1, that kid should be fucking dead. 2, why the fuck is my bow and arrow floating around in front of us whilst we're talking? And 3...
But I can see the paths they take.
Stop telling stories.
Rost is confident that the thing on the side of your head is a fucking toy. Now, he mentions this throughout the whole start of the game. I mean, really, why is it that hard to understand that this is actually useful? You are literally surrounded by extremely complex, fully sentient robot fucking dinosaurs. I mean, come on, an earpiece? Is it really that crazy? This section is essentially your final test before starting the main game. It's using your focus with a couple of extra abilities to get through a section without using any weapons. It's quite fun, and it's a good way to get you used to the controls and everything. After throwing some rocks around and using some cunning, you finally make it past the monsters to meet the boy, and no, his shins aren't sticking through his fucking throat, somehow he's perfectly unharmed.
So, it is no plaything.
Finally, fucking hell, Rost. Dick. Once again, we are reminded that...
They are outcasts, both. And she is motherless.
Seriously, I'm not just making this up. You are constantly reminded that you're an outcast at the start of this game. The word must be used about, 30 to 50 times or something? It's only about an hour of gameplay. It's clear by this point that Aloy's biggest concern is that nobody wants to talk to her. All she wants is some friends, some companionship. I mean, I didn't have any friends as a kid, but I turned out alright. Right? My issues aside, it's easy to see where the story's going to focus in this game, at least early on. Aloy just wants to know why she's an outcast, why nobody wants to be her friend, and what she can do to fix it. Now, in a fart of extreme convenience...
The passage held every year. Those who pass become braves, but to the one who wins, the matriarchs grant a boon.
A boon?
Yes, a boon! Similar to a blim, but not as wet as a bloodle. Did I teach you fucking nothing? So essentially, if Aloy passes the passage, she will be seen as a brave and no longer an outcast. Also, if she comes top of everyone in the passage, she will be granted a boon, which is actually just like granting a wish, basically. Her wish, of course, is to find out who her mother is. That being said, the tutorial section of the game is pretty much over. There's a lovely montage that comes up with her training with Rost and having a good old time, but from now on I'm not really going to talk about story anymore because I don't want to spoil anything for you. I'm just going to tell you how I felt about the gameplay. Now I'm going to keep this review nice and short because I really want to get back to playing this game, and I'm sure you do too. This is where the game really opens up. You're allowed to go anywhere you like within the first area of the map, and the map is pretty big by the way, on your way to help Rost. Now we want you to go and collect some stuff to help him with a mission, which is cool. Now you've got to go and kill some dinosaurs. Whilst doing this, you can run into little side missions, usually just people who need your help. Now the side missions are more or less you using Geralt of Rivia's fucking Witcher vision to track someone down and bring them back to the person who asked you. I've only done a couple so far, but they've all pretty much been based around that sort of premise. There's a handful of ways you can approach combat. You can run in all guns blazing and braid them to shit with your fucking spear thing. You can give them a bit of distance and try and pick off their weak points with your bow using special arrowheads depending on what weaknesses they have. You can sneak around in the bushes around your enemies, taking them out one by one with silent kills. Or you can just set up a bunch of traps around the enemies, get their attention and get them to run into them, offering you an easy kill. The most fun you can have though is basically putting all these things together. Once you start fighting, generally everyone will know where you are, so you're in the shit either way. You'll be running around circling, diving, shooting arrows real quick, making use of your staff. It gets pretty exciting, and when you win a battle you really feel like you've achieved something, because you know you've lost quite a lot of health. These battles aren't really easy. Okay, good, he saw me. Yeah, that's it. Come on then. Walk into the tripwire. There's a good robot dinosaur. Why, you little dick. You fucking sentient fucking... The crafting system in this game is pretty cool. You can craft everything from weapons and armor, up to different types of ammunition, health potions, explosives, traps, loads of bits and bobs like that. On top of that, you have your actual upgrade system, which is pretty cool. I mean, I've had a little flick through most of them, and they all seem pretty useful, but nothing game-breaking. This section's pretty simple. You level up, you use your points to add to your skills. Awesome. I'm not going to go on too much about this, you know how it works. Think kind of Far Cry, that sort of thing, and you'll have a pretty good idea. So we've had a bit of a fumble around, done a couple of side missions, done our main mission, and now I'm going to head on and continue the story. Essentially, Rost wants to take you out the safety of your home so you can fulfill all your destinies. Now, to see if you're ready for this, he happens to know there's a fucking sawtooth floating around. Why not have a go at it? This is essentially the checkpoint that's telling you, okay guys, now the game's really getting started. You have to have a fight with a monster that's considerably bigger than all the ones you fought previously, and honestly, I had a hard fucking time with it. Yeah, fuck it. To finish, let's just show you the entire battle I had with this thing. So that was Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, honestly, this game is beautiful, and it has a lot to offer in the way of missions and things to do. For me, the sense system's a little bit awkward, and honestly, sometimes I can't even use it without stopping and squinting my eyes, but maybe they did that so it wasn't making the game too easy. But honestly, that's about the only complaint I've got about the game, to be fair, apart from a few dodgy character models and speaking animations. But yeah, anyway, enough of my blabbering. We're just keeping it short and sweet today. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that bullshit. But honestly, to finish, I really must insist that you go out and pick up this game, or I'm going to sit in the corner and cry until the pain goes away. And that will probably take quite a while. I don't want to do that because I've got more Horizon to play, so if you could pick the game up, I don't have to sit and fucking cry. I'll probably end up doing it anyway, but you know, it's been an emotional few days, right? But we're outcasts. I've already told you it's because we're outcasts. Outcast. Double outcast. Outcast walking down the stairs. Outcast dancing. Outcast doing the dishes. Outcast trying to take a shit. Hi, Arnie.